Hello and welcome to the Serpent Method School of Magic. On today's episode, we're going to talk about how to craft the perfect altar for you. So first of all, why do you need an altar? Well, when practicing witchcraft, spell work, whatever you want to call it, really just subconscious reprogramming, that's a story for another day, the altar becomes your intent. And this is really, really important when you are someone who struggles with negative thoughts, or who struggles with being able to visualize. For example, there's a lot of people out there who say that they can't manifest because they can't visualize. Doing spell work rids you of this issue. And the altar becomes the place where you describe your intent, right? So people who are also concerned about intrusive thoughts and manifesting intrusive thoughts, you're not going to manifest intrusive thoughts when you are specific with your manifestation, when you have intent with your manifestation. And that's what spell work does. It says, I'm going to sit down and do this particular spell using these particular ingredients that represent this particular outcome. I'm going to follow these steps. I'm going to perform it, and I will get the outcome. It's not about what you're thinking about all day. It's about the intention behind what you really want and crafting a spell to do that. You don't have to, it takes all the guesswork out of it, basically, is what I'm saying. Does that make sense? There's no guesswork involved with spell work. On top of that, the altar builds up power. Each use makes it more powerful. Your subconscious mind starts to associate that specific space with, this is where I put my intent. This is what I really want, right? Because all day, every day, you can be thinking of things that you don't really want. You can be in a bitchy mood one day. You don't want to manifest that. You don't want to manifest your bitchiness. Of course not. But when you follow basic modern manifestation methods, that's what it can lead to. Because with the basic manifestation methods, you're basically trying to do your manifesting all day. You're trying to stay in a positive attitude, repeat hundreds and thousands of affirmations. You're trying to do this constant work. When in reality, all you need to do is funnel that intent into one powerful moment. Okay? And that's a lot easier to do. It is a lot easier to funnel intent for 30 minutes than it is to have it throughout the entirety of the day when we have all of these 3D circumstances happening around us. And it's ridiculous to expect yourself to stay upbeat and peppy all day. That's fucking insane and ridiculous and not healthy anyway. That's toxic positivity, and it's absolutely insane. So don't let yourself fall into that. And also don't let yourself fall into the whole, like, beating yourself up because you had a negative thought or beating yourself up because you're in a bad mood. What the fuck ever? Have a slump. Who cares? As long as you continue to focus your intent via spell work, your life is going to improve. Your manifestations are going to come in. Okay? That's what's important to remember. That's why I want you to learn magic. Because it is the fast track. It's all you need. Our ancestors had this figured out, okay? They had it figured out. They figured out the fastest way to manifest, and they weren't doing that toxic positivity shit. They were worse than we are. They didn't fuck around. But they knew that as long as you funneled your intent through spell work, your manifestations would happen. Okay? And another thing that the altar does is the altar shows you respect for the energies that you're utilizing. It shows you respect for the deities that you want to work with. And we'll get into deities and what deities are and everything on another day. But for today, we're just talking about the altar. The altar shows respect for everything, okay? For the nature that you end up working with. Because you will use bits of nature, whether it's herbs, whether it's a seashell, whether it's an acorn. You're showing respect for the earth. When you work with the different elements and you set out a space for them on your altar, you're saying, I have respect for you. And that amplifies the energy. Your subconscious mind understands that you are revering whatever this is that you're doing. Do you understand? All right, what makes it an altar? Because there's a bunch of shit going around about what an altar is, what it's not, blah, 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 blah. It really honestly depends on the type of magic that you're going to be doing. An altar can be so many different things. Okay? So many different things. If you are going to be following closely to what I'm going to be teaching you specifically, I mean, you can do whatever you want to do, and there's always going to be knowledge here for you and bits and pieces and things that you can take from. But if you're a beginner, if you're just learning and you are going to follow what I am saying to a T, you will need a surface, preferably natural. So preferably wood, preferably marble, some sort of stone, okay? And it doesn't need to be fancy. It could be the top of your dresser. It could be your kitchen counter. It can be anything. And it doesn't need to be natural, okay? Understand what preferably means. Preferably natural. But if you do not have access to something natural, if you're like, well, all I have is this little metal nightstand from IKEA, use that. It's better to do it than not do it at all. So preferably natural. But if you don't have something natural, what the fuck ever, use what you have. Okay? And that's going to be for everything that I talk about. For everything that I talk about, use what best you have. Start with what best you have. You will also need a cauldron or a burn-safe bowl for when you are working with the fire element, which with spellwork is a lot of fire element because candle spells are insanely popular. Why? Because fire and the element of fire is fast moving. It's fast paced. It makes your manifestations come in quick. Hence the popularity of fire magic. We will work with all the elements. We'll talk about all the elements, but you will need a cauldron or a burn-safe bowl for firework. You will need something to hold your candles, whether that is a candle holder or a burn-safe plate. If you're going to be setting it on a plate, I highly recommend that you get candle stickers or something of the sort for attaching it to the plate. You can also burn the bottom of the candle to create a melted wax and stick it to the plate, but basically you want that to be standing up. You can also put it in like a small ramekin filled with salt and put the candle in there so it's standing up, and then place it on a burn-safe plate or bowl or whatever. Does that make sense? Very, very important. You always want to do it safely. You will also need a chalice, a cup, or a bowl for offerings. Okay? I personally have both a chalice and a bowl. I put different things in the bowl. I use bowls for more of like food offerings, herb offerings, things like that. And then I use the chalice specifically for liquid offerings, obviously, water, wine, any sort of alcohol. And that's very important. It's very important for working with the water element. And it's also very important for doing any sort of deity work, especially deity work or ancestor work. You will need a chalice or a cup and a bowl. If you're going to be following what I'm doing, that will include self-love magic, glamour magic. We'll talk about exactly why that's one of the best things you can be doing. So include a handheld mirror. The more aesthetic, the better. And when I say aesthetic, I'm giving you so much leeway here because it should match your aesthetic. It should be something you find aesthetically beautiful. Now, if you are into the very Venusian, gold, very decorative handheld mirror, get that, right? It doesn't have to be expensive. Get the closest fucking version you can get. If you are into modern, sleek, get that. It can be a fucking little compact from the Dollar Tree, a little purse mirror from the Dollar Tree, but just get a handheld mirror, okay? You will also want a wand or a staff or an atame. And this is basically just used as an extension of yourself. Okay? I would recommend a wand and an atame. Look it up. But it's basically just an extension of yourself. The wands you are going to be using for pushing energy into the spell working Okay, and the atem is going to be used for cutting energy away. It's symbolic, you're not really cutting, but it's used to cut cords energetically, things like that. And so with both of those, you can push energy into something or cut energy out of something. But honestly, you can put whatever you want on your altar. This is just the basic beginner pack of if you are going to follow what I am saying, this is what you will need, okay? You will want to go out and get this. Remember with it though, beauty equals better. And it's what you find beautiful. That's the most important part. It's what you find beautiful. And you don't sit there and overthink it. Don't sit there and be like, what's my aesthetic? I don't understand my aesthetic. Am I this? Am I that? Just if you see something and you're like, oh, I like that, get that. That's how you create personal style. Do you understand? That's how you create personal style. If you just go, ooh, I like that, don't worry about how it's going to look with the other items. Like trying to curate a certain aesthetic that's become so insanely popular these days. I hate it. It's stupid. That's not how you create personal style. Okay, personal style is your specific combination of aesthetic. That's what makes it personal style. So you want to be doing personal style with your items, but every one of your items should be as beautiful to you as it can be. And again, like I said, money obviously matters. If you can't afford the most beautiful thing yet, start with what you can afford. But even, for example, the mirror compact from Dollar Tree, like I said, if you're getting something like that and there's two different colors, there's a pastel pink and a pastel blue, get the one that calls to you. Okay, so even there, you can make a decision on which one you find more aesthetically appealing, but it's incredibly important that it is aesthetically beautiful for you because this is what your subconscious deals in. Okay, the dramatics, the theatrics, the aesthetic, the beauty, the symbolism, that's what your subconscious mind deals in. So spell work is heavily based on these things. Now, where do you put your altar? This is a question that is heavily debated. I'm going to give you my personal opinion as someone who has been doing spell work for a very, very long time, almost the entirety of my life. It's best to have your altar in a space where you can experience privacy, period. That's it. Okay, don't worry about the rules, like what room, which direction, etc. Aesthetics matter much more, like I said, and privacy matters the most. Okay, so you are going to prioritize privacy and then aesthetics, and then you can worry about rules if you believe in them. There's a lot of people who say things like, you can't have an altar in your bedroom. I don't fucking believe that. I don't believe that for a second. They don't like you mixing energies. They also think that you shouldn't be vulgar in front of your altar. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second. Sex magic is insanely popular and insanely potent and powerful. And I personally believe that that all comes from Christian programming on you don't want to see your altar shouldn't see anything that you would be ashamed of that's too private, as in being in your bedroom. But I don't believe that at all. You put it where you can experience privacy and where you're comfortable, number one. And you put it as aesthetically pleasing place as possible, number two. And also, it's important to remember that you want to have movement around it if possible. Okay, you want enough room to be able to have movement, dance, trance. Okay, so the more room for that, the better. Again, do what you have. Do what you have. But if you have the ability to, being able to dance and move your body and sway and just be free in front of your altar is very helpful, especially for different types of spell work. It's very helpful. So that's another thing to just kind of think of and pay attention to. You can also pick a theme for your altar. Again, I am putting this in terms of like what's most important to just kind of things that are extra. Good. They're nice to have. They're not necessities. Okay. But a theme for your altar is good. So if you feel very drawn to a certain deity, right? Say Aphrodite. Do an Aphrodite-themed altar. If you feel very called to, say, a certain element, earth, the element of earth, put flowers on your altar. Put, like, make it brown, green, earthy tones. What brings you joy, okay? Do that. If you are into fairies, put fairies on your altar. If you are into dragons, I don't give a shit, put it on your altar. Whatever that thing is, whatever is appealing to you in the metaphysical, mystical, spiritual worlds, make that your theme. If you want a darker themed altar, if you're drawn to that dark aesthetic, you want blacks and burgundies and deep reds, do that. If you are drawn to wanting whites and light pinks, your altar doesn't have to look like anything specific. You don't have to create this altar of everything that you've seen on Pinterest or TikTok and you think it needs to look this way. It does not need to look any sort of way. It needs to be beautiful to you. And it needs to resonate with you. It needs to feel powerful and magical to you. Okay? Another thing that's important is don't be afraid. If you're just starting off, if you are just getting into spell work, it is very common to feel the need to follow everything to a T. Okay? You don't need to follow everything to a T. Be fluid in it. And also, don't be afraid of, especially if you have strong Christian programming, don't be afraid when you start to put candles and incense and stuff in a certain area that you're doing evil witchcraft, right? Don't be afraid. If it starts to freak you out, change the aesthetic, okay? If it starts to freak you out, it's simply not your aesthetic. Lighten it up. Homey it up. Bring more of your ancestor presence to it. Bring more of your energy to it until it feels comfortable. You should not be afraid of your altar. It should be a beautiful place that you want to spend time. Okay? So that's very important. Set it up in a way where it's beautiful and you want to spend time there. Now, another thing, you don't need to keep all of your items out on your altar. Okay? You can keep items stored away in a cabinet, whatever, in a chest, however you want to do it, on a bookshelf, and just have your altar be very minimal. You can have it look however you want it to look, and you can pull your spiritual items out when needed, when using, and then put them away afterwards. You can do that too, 100%, as long as you're still using the same space. Okay, so there's no specific way you need to set it up, and oftentimes you'll find that in certain spells, there will be instructions on how to set up your altar for that spell. Okay, but your go-to setup should just be whatever feels good to you. If you want your cauldron out on your altar, have it out on your altar. If you want your cauldron tucked away because you don't find it to be the prettiest or you don't want to have that out in your living room or whatever it may be, tuck it away. But have a large candle holder where your altar is and just have a white candle right there. It doesn't need to look like anything. Your altar can be as extra and magical and pagan looking as you want it to be, or it can be some place where people won't even notice that it is anything special when they come in your home. That is completely up to you. Okay? But as we said, the altar becomes the intent. It signals to your subconscious that you are trying to and actually want to manifest something. So that's just the most important part. It's just getting that correlation in your subconscious mind that when I am here, when I am in this space, when I am doing something here, it's special. Pay attention. That's what you're telling your subconscious mind. That's why the theatrics, that's why the drama, that's why the candles and the dancing and the music and the incense and the smells. You're touching on every single one of your senses when you're doing spell work. And that is the language of the subconscious. And so you're telling your subconscious mind, we're reprogramming here. Hey, pay attention. When I come and sit down at this place, or when I come and kneel at this place, or when I come and stand in front of this place, I am doing something important. You need to pay attention. That's why it's the fastest way to reprogram your subconscious mind. You're literally telling your subconscious mind, hey, this is exactly what I want. Okay? And when I go here, I'm telling you exactly what I want. Pay attention. That's the beauty of spell work. That's the beauty of it. Okay? And your altar stores and it multiplies your power of intent. So every single time you go there, you are adding to that power. Basically, what it is you are creating that neural pathway in your mind and that correlation to your subconscious mind, if you want to make it scientific, to reprogram when in this space. So that's why it is said that the altar gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Really what it is just your subconscious mind has a stronger and stronger and stronger correlation to when I am here, when I am doing this little thing. Pay attention, because I am telling you exactly what I want. And it makes it very easy for the subconscious mind. You will find when you start doing spell work consistently, you will find your mind gets so much more quiet, gets so much more calm. Okay, your subconscious mind won't have to be searching and scratching and figuring out and da 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 da. I'm on 24/7. What does she want? What does she want? What does she want? Your subconscious mind knows, I don't have to ask her what she wants. She'll go sit in front of the altar and tell me. I know that there is a time and a place where she will tell me exactly what she wants. So I don't have to guess. And it calms your subconscious mind down like you wouldn't fucking believe. Like you wouldn't fucking believe. You'll start to notice it, especially several months in. Several months in, you will look back and be like, holy fucking shit. So you can use your altar for anything to do with reprogramming your subconscious mind. If you want to reprogram your subconscious mind, do it at your altar. Use it for spell work, use it for your journaling, use it for your scripting if you do anything like that. Any other manifestation technique that you wish to utilize, because I'm not against modern manifestation techniques. You can use them. I'm just saying they are not the most potent and they're not the fastest and it's not the best way to do it. But if you want to add them in as an addition, by all fucking means, the more the merrier. Do it at your altar. So your subconscious mind knows I don't have to fuck around and worry about it. When at the altar, that's when she tells me what she wants. Okay, so in the next lesson, I'll teach you the formula for crafting a Serpent method spell.